Good and welcome to Tarmac. I'm Harry.
And I'm Matthew, and behind us is the Subaru WRX TS.
Not only that, but it's also the Spec B, and it's taking the rally heritage up a notch. Come with us and let's have a look at this.
From the stables of Subaru, the WRX name actually dates back to 1993, when Subaru set up their division, their World Rally Experimental Division, and the aim of that was to take their Impreza family sedan onto that global stage of the World Rally Championship, or WRC. That first Impreza, of course, well, that was piloted by Ari Vatanen and Colin McRae. Those two names are immortal legends of motorsport. But it's a little bit lesser known that we in New Zealand have actually a really strong connection with Subaru, and particularly their rallying initiatives that dates back even before that. The legacy rally car, of course, made its last showing on the rally stage here in Rally New Zealand in 1993, before the Impreza. And then, of course, we have Possum Bourne, who is arguably the greatest Kiwi rally driver of all time, and his long-standing relationship with Subaru has meant that even today there is a division that sells performance parts for these cars bearing his name. So there you go, we have a really strong connection with the rallying aspect of Subaru. So in a way, it's a sort of homecoming for this Spec B WRX to be here today. This particular car is in WR Blue Pearl, which is one of a number of colors you can have, and it does look really good, I have to say. But there is also a Galaxy Purple Pearl, which is just stunning. It is undeniably a WRX, of course, as you can see that bonnet scoop there, which my dad thinks looks funny, but is actually functional and tells the tale straight away that this is no ordinary Subaru. You've got that fascia over there, all these extra black cladding bits and pieces, and just the aggression of everything, the headlights, the grille, everything points to the fact that this is a performance car, and there's no denying it as you go further down the side. As part of this Spec B package, what Subaru have done is added a few little bits and pieces to really tell it apart from the outside. So to start off with, you have these grey Spec B alloy wheels with a Brembo brake caliper, or Brembo brakes, hiding underneath. And notice as well the color. Even though these don't have gold wheels anymore, the calipers are indeed still gold. So nice little touch and a nod to the WRX's history through the years. Notice the cladding down the bottom as well, even more aggression there. Remember, of course, that these are available either as a sedan or as a WRX sports wagon, which some of you may know as the Le Vogue in international markets. So how can you tell this is a WRX TS Spec B? Well, for starters, you have this thing. Now, this wing is not available on either the WRX sports wagon or the standard sedan. It's specific to the Spec B, and I mean, this is just classic Subaru in the way that it's big, it's bold, it tells you straight away that this is no ordinary sedan. It is very much performance orientated. Looking further down, well, how many badges would you like? Because, well, yes, you have Subaru, the Symmetrical All-Wheel Drive system, and of course WRX and TS. Now that S specifically stands for STI, so TS is tuned by STI. And if you know your Subaru history, the S is in pink because pink was firstly STI's color, and then also the color of the cherry blossoms, which are a nod to its Japanese history. You'll notice the one badge it is missing, of course, is Impreza, because ever since 2015 the WRX and the Impreza have parted ways, so they're two separate cars, and hence why this is just the Subaru WRX. Further around the back, there is another tell that this is in fact the Spec B, and that comes from the exhausts, which are actually quad rather than the standard car, which just has a single one on either side. If you opened up the bonnet on a Impreza WRX from 20 years ago, it might not look too different to what we have under the bonnet of this WRX today, but that's actually part of its charm. The fact that it still is the flag bearer for that turbocharged boxer engine. I mean, it's retro, but in a cool way. As I mentioned, this is a turbocharged boxer, so specifically it's a 2.4 liter turbocharged unit. And from that you get 202 kilowatts, 350 Newton meters of torque. Roughly that translates to about 270 brake horsepower. And it gives you two gearbox choices in the regular WRX. You can either have the 6-speed manual or you can have the Subaru Performance CVT. Either way though, fuel efficiency is rated at 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers, but with this one being a manual and Harry in particular being the one driving it, it's not been getting anywhere near those figures.
And familiarity definitely is the word of order in here, because this interior was introduced back in 2022 and not a whole lot has been changed in here for this generation, even though now with the tuned by STI you get the STI bits of the STI that you actually want. For starters, you get these RECARO seats in here. They have the STI logo embossed to the headrest, the very prominent RECARO lettering that caught the attention of many people that wanted to check the car while we had it. You then also get, as part of that STI package, in the steering wheel a STI badge, and then just in front of you for the starting animation of the driver's cluster, a beautiful STI animation. The choice of materials is very deliberate to try and make a platform that has been here for many years feel a little bit more elevated and premium. So you get some soft touch materials scattered throughout the cabin. You then also get this interesting mix between the leather or the faux leather with the super suede here with the WRX embossed in it with the stitching as well, that of course extends pretty much across the whole door cards and then all the way to the back as well. The storage bits are an interesting choice in here because the door cards, they are very generous and they are even felt lined, but then as you go and look to the armrest, you might probably get what is the smallest armrest storage in the whole car industry, because half of it is taken by a CD player. Yes, I didn't get that wrong, a CD player. Then in front of it, you do get this cup holder in here that you can remove the divider to make into a little bit more usable kind of storage. It will take 2 coffee cups, no problem at all. A small, very scratchy cubby, I don't know, for coins or something of the sort. It's definitely not good enough for your key. Ask me how I know. And then in front of it, you get this pad that again, you can probably put your phone or your wallet, and then it will link to an aux port in 2025, a USB-C and one USB-A port. But in terms of the space, this is a really good place to be in. There is just so much space for the driver. With these lovely seats, it is really easy to find a good driving position, and then it does not compromise at all the space that you get then at the back. You can clearly have a very long trip with 4 or maybe even 5 people. There is plenty of knee room, foot room, head room for everyone that is inside of the car. And considering how big the trunk is, and also the fact that you can fold the seats flat, really flat, and then make this for a very usable space, there is no denying that this can be a practical car. In terms of comfort, you do get 4 heated seats for all 4 occupants. You get a premium sound system courtesy of Harman Kardon and quite a comprehensive suite of technology as part of Subaru's EyeSight technology. So breaking the mold from what we usually see in the industry with the landscape screens, this portrait mode screen here somehow looks well integrated enough to the dashboard and allows for a lot of space for all the widgets that you get in what is this home screen here. So you'll see these big widgets that you can customize and create new ones by this add shortcut menu, but then most of the ones that you will be using daily will have to do with the inbuilt satellite navigation, the things to do with your media, or of course the phone projection, because this does have wireless CarPlay that again looks really good in here because it makes use of all this real estate that you have on the screen. Certain bits of it, however, are then reserved for other things that you see all the time, such as the climate that is down below that you can bring up using this dedicated button in here, even though you have these specific physical rockers that are always available to you. In terms of, say, STI specific bits, if you come to the car info here, then you can see a little bit about how the car is performing. Of course, now it being stopped, we don't see too much, but it'll be able to show you the wheel angle and then how the symmetrical all-wheel drive system is doing its magic underneath you. And then with the digital driver's display in front of the driver in here, probably the first thing that you will pick up on is that STI badge in there. As Matt alluded to, it has that pink hue to remind us of the cherry blossom in Japan, and of course, such an interesting part of Subaru's heritage.
Now, Harry and I were just discussing earlier of how from our childhoods in the 1990s and the 2000s, the rally legends that we remember that were homologated for the road, well, from that whole group, there's only one nameplate that's still standing today, still available as a road car, and it is this, the Subaru WRX. And I mean, what a way to relive those glory days with this Spec B in particular.
Not only that, but also with 3 pedals and 6 speeds. And what a lovely 6-speed manual this is. It is really good to interact with. It harks back to the previous WRX that I had driven, which, showing my age a little bit, I can say that it happened almost 10 years ago, so it has been a long time since I last drove a WRX, and I love the fact that it feels this familiar to drive. You get the burble of the Boxer engine up front, you get, again, the 6-speed manual in here, this very specific behavior that they have tuned for the symmetrical all-wheel drive, that it feels almost invisible in a way. It's not like the other systems that wait for a little bit of slip. It's always delivering that 4-wheel drive that has made these cars so successful in the rally stages, right?
And I think we were having a discussion earlier about, yes, it's a performance car, but what does that word actually mean? Yes, to some people it might mean rapid 0 to 100 times and, you know, lap records around tracks and all of that stuff, but it can also mean this, the charm of having a manual gearbox, the fact that it has an engine and powertrain system that has been developed and perfected over so many years, decades now as well, and the rawness of it all. I think it's, in today's world of performance cars, the fact that you have a car that can make you feel so attached, so familiar, so in contact with the road and the surface under you, it's pretty special. I absolutely agree with you. Just look at the competition, right? Many of the other cars that used to share the tarmac or the gravel with this car in the past are either gone or have gone in ways that make them feel a little bit more detached. And yes, they might be quicker, they might be a little bit more competent objectively, because this is, at the end of the day, not a super fast or scary kind of car in any way, but I don't think that any other feels this old school, this full of charm, and to a certain extent, this engaging as well. Absolutely right. And I think it went through its era where the engine style and the gearbox and all that stuff was looked down upon a little bit for being too old in a way, but it's come back to the point now where car technology has gone so far the other way that this is now a novelty. It's cool. And I mean, it is not crazy fast, right? But during all the time that you are getting to surf that surge of boost, that is quite a bit of boost, let's be honest, you get a little bit more through the everything rattles a little bit and it brings a little bit of engagement that it's becoming more and more rare these days. And it's not all about speed. I mean, this has enough performance. It's not a slow car by any definition of the word, but it has enough performance that it allows you to take it to the limits of enjoyment on public roads without going over the speed limit, which has been so much of the appeal of the WRX through the years and is something that transpires to this car today. Yes, as Harry mentioned, it has got a big turbo, and when you are pushing it, you hit that red line very quickly. And so lifting off the clutch, you do feel a little bit jarred when shifting, but again, a car like this is based on its character, right? And all of that can be credited to character.
Yeah, absolutely. If this is the kind of driving experience that you are expecting, it will offer you, and it has been consistently offering it to a fault through the decades. So as Matt mentioned, it has a bigger turbo with heaps of boost, but considering that the engine only revs to 6 grand and the fact that the sound is so muffled by the turbo, it means two things. First, you don't get to enjoy that boost for a long time because the rev limiter will just sneak up on you very quickly. And second, that the moment that you actually start enjoying the boost, it's almost time for you to then go to the next gear. And then when the clutch and the 6-speed are so good to interact with and down shift as well, it pretty much means that you will be rolling through the gears all the time, which is just lovely.
And look at that smile, look at that happy face. You can't put a price on that, right? We talk about performance and enthusiast cars mainly because of the way they make you feel. And while this may not be extremely fast, the plastics might be a little bit scratchy, all of those things, it makes you feel special. It makes you feel, dare I say, happy even.
And then you look through the rear view mirror and you get this big wing that doesn't obstruct too much of the view, which is not something I can say from the older WRXs. You look at the front, you get that lovely scoop that your father wasn't too fond of. Of course, in this blue color, it just looks so good. And I find it so interesting, the balance that they managed to find, that if we had like a spider graph of this car, it doesn't go too edgy in any specific thing, which then just makes this an amazing daily driver. I would be so happy with this as a daily driver because it is comfortable when you have it in the right mode, and it has so much space for 4 people on a longer trip. The trunk is massive, and it just an all-arounder.
I have to say, I reviewed the WRX Sport Wagon just before this, and it has so much of, it has even more practicality actually than this being a wagon, but it's not quite all the way there as this is in terms of adding that wing, the manual gearbox, all of that. It makes it a little bit more, in a way, childish, but that's been part of the appeal of the WRX through the years. And so it's, at the same time, I have to give credit to Subaru because they have offered both of those solutions where if you want a grown-up WRX with the added practicality, the Sport Wagon is there for you. But if you want something that is properly old school, fun, doesn't take itself too seriously, then this is there as well. So they have done well to give enthusiasts a choice, which is again not something that happens a lot these days with car brands. So impressive from that point. And yes, while we have well waxed lyrical about this thing so far, it is not without its shortcomings. I think one of those has to be we have to talk about the fuel efficiency, right? Because it is, well, not efficient.
Yes, absolutely. So as you mentioned during the Under the Bonnet segment, the claimed figure of 8.5 to 100, it's not something that can easily be achieved. During my, let's say, less than ideal driving regimen, because that's how you were supposed to drive this car anyway, I've been averaging a little bit over 12 liters to 100, which is not exactly ideal, right? A turbo engine like this needs quite a bit of petrol when it's going for it, and considering that it has quite a substantial amount of boost, it just means that you might be visiting the petrol station quite often.
And even when I was in the WRX Sport Wagon with the performance CVT gearbox, driving it normally, I was averaging something like 9.8 liters per 100 kilometers. So it is a little bit further away from its claimed figure. And it's interesting the way this engine and turbo in particular behave, because you have that period down low where it doesn't give you that much. It feels a little bit lazy, in fact. And then you push it just a little bit more, and that turbo comes on, and all of a sudden you're at 6,000 RPM looking for the next gear. It is an interesting drive.
Yeah, I think that especially more with the manual, it is a car that is very tailored towards the enthusiast, the people that have grown loving the formula of the WRX. And if you know what you are expecting as you are getting into one of these cars, maybe the fuel efficiency will not put you off, and the old school charm is going to be what settles the deal, because it offers all of that and oozes it, actually. One interesting point is that even though I was driving the car in comfort in a few specific moments, I don't know why, whenever I turn the car off and then on again, it comes back in sport. I don't know if this is a setting that I couldn't find, but I just loved that it is like this. I didn't change it, and the fact that you get the sport, or actually the driving mode selector right by the reach of your thumb is just the perfect sort of nod for you to just quickly flick it to sport and then sport plus and enjoy a little bit more of the sporty driving. It definitely does change the behavior of the car in terms of the steering response, and of course the damping of the dampers, which you probably can feel right now, and it just makes it even more eager to go through the bends.
Correct. It does affect, I think, especially what you realize is the stiffness of the dampers changes a lot as you go through the different driving modes. But again, that's part of the appeal of making this a usable daily driver as well as a performance weekend drive and all of that. However, it does make the suspension quite hard, and you do get sort of rattles and things from the cabin, so you know it is, yes, a little bit rudimentary in the way that the plastics are scratchy and not of great quality, but again, they have put the money where it matters, and things like the RECARO seats, the handling, all of that. And then of course you have something we haven't talked about before is, yes, it comes with the safety systems, Subaru's EyeSight, and Harry hasn't had an issue with it so far, but I found it to be a little bit intrusive in terms of telling me when to keep my eyes on the road and all of that stuff. But again, every driver has a different experience where that's concerned.
Might be my polarized glasses getting in the way of the sensor, you never know. But yeah, that's definitely one thing that needs to be taken into account, right? Because it has so many systems that are there to assist you with the drive. Of course, even though it is a manual, it does have adaptive cruise control, which is always very helpful for the longer drives. And yes, the cameras could be of a little bit of a better quality, but again, it's just adding to that old school charm. I don't think that anyone is buying this because of the quality of the cameras, so Subaru will do whatever they can to get away with those parts of the hardware.
And I think absolutely, when it has an SDI badge on it, then that's where they're spending the money in the tuning and the handling, the responsiveness, not in these little niceties and things, because that's not what this car is about, right?
And definitely not in sound deadening, right? Because it is a loud car. You can tell right now we are on an open pore kind of tarmac, and there is a little bit of rattling pretty much all around the cabin, and much of the sound is making its way into the cabin. So again, it adds to the engagement, but it also detracts a little bit from the perception of refinement. And it's not like the Harman Kardon system can drown all of that away, because it's not the most powerful or the most clear.
So there you have it, the Subaru WRX TS Spec B. It's a long name, but they have packed in so much into this. It's a hark back in a way to the glory days of these rally homologation cars. And I mean, what a way to, in a way, give this car a proper send-off, right?
A hark back it is, because it was a great way for me to rekindle the memories of driving the GC WRX so many years ago. It still feels so familiar. Everything that we like about the WRX is here, and very little of what we don't like is here. So it is exactly that formula. If you know what to expect and you like the WRXs of old, this will not feel old, it'll feel cool.
Absolutely. It's probably one of the most raw, authentic driving experiences you can have out there today. And adding all those badges, that big wing, the bonnet scoop, just makes everything so much cooler, right? Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and keep an eye out for our TV show as well. See you next time.